pirates, summon the heroic spirit Drake at the beginning. Author, like the wind. Page 111. Ziyan looked at Arturia expectantly. If it's the master, it's me. Arturia smiled softly. Since we will be traveling together in the future, we can naturally call them casually. On the other hand, I will also call Master Yan. Sure. Ziyan immediately. He nodded and said, I'm not obsessed with the title master. Speaking of which, many companions call me that. Oh. Leah looked at Ziyan with interest. Yan, do you have any other companions? Where are they now? Leah looked around. It doesn't seem to be nearby. They are still staying on an island. Ziyan said, originally, I rushed back directly to get the loot quickly, but I really wanted to summon my companions immediately to see who would come, so I called a rest. However, I didn't expect to be able to directly summon the legendary King of Knights, King Arthur. I'm really lucky. You can say that, Yan. I'm very happy. Leah raised the corner of her mouth. I am also very happy to be summoned by you. However, your current strength has not reached its peak. After thinking for a while, Ziyan said, since this is the case, let's strengthen you now. Indeed, the current me is much weaker than normal, and it is difficult to use even the noble phantasm. Yan, if you can strengthen me, it is naturally good. Leah felt the magic power in her body and said to Ziyan. Ziyan smiled, connected the system in his brain, and let the system consume to strengthen King Arthur. As the strengthening progressed, Leah's body glowed with the blue-gold light. After the ray of light dissipated, the powerful King Arthur appeared in Ziyan's eyes. Among them, the scabbard in Leah's hand particularly attracted Ziyan's attention. King Arthur, who has been strengthened to the peak, actually has a scabbard. Ziyan looked at the blue and gold Avalon, his eyes widened in surprise. At the same time, I am extremely greedy for Avalon, hoping that the system can draw Avalon for him. However, having obtained the sword of vowed victory in advance, it is no longer possible to go to Avalon. As for Leah handing over the scabbard to him, that is even more impossible. Regarding the treasures of his companions, Ziyan still can't forcefully appropriate them for himself. Even if the companions are willing to give it, Ziyan will not take it. Unexpectedly, since I can regain the lost scabbard. Looking at Avalon in his hand, even the calm King Arthur was very surprised at the moment. Wouldn't that be nice? Ziyan walked into Leah. Avalon is yours. Now, attack with the anti-city noble phantasm, the sword of promised victory, and defend Avalon with the owner's absolute defense. Ziyan smiled and looked at Leah excitedly. Now, I really don't know who else can beat you. With you as my companion, I am extremely at ease. It is undoubtedly good to be able to enhance my own strength. With Avalon, I have more contents to protect you. Leah took back the scabbard, looked at Ziyan sincerely and said, seeing the sincerity revealed in Leah's green eyes, Ziyan couldn't help touching his nose. Happily. Cool. Ziyan took a deep breath, adjusted his heartbeat, looked at Leah and said, it's really lucky to be able to summon you today. In this case, can I trouble Leah to decide the profession of their companion I will summon next? Does Yan still want to summon his companions? Leah showed a somewhat surprised expression, and after seeing Ziyan nodded, Leah smiled. The more companions you have, the better it is. This will help you even more. Page 112. After Ziyan told Leah about the professions, Leah lowered her head and thought for a while, and then said, since you asked me, then I will choose the archer who is also the three knights. Leah looked up at Ziyan and smiled. I hope you can summon a powerful partner. With Leah's blessing, I think I will definitely be able to summon a powerful companion. Ziyan said with a smile, then let's start summoning now. After finishing speaking, Ziyan contacted the system to summon archers. Soon the summoning array lit up. Ha 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 ha. Before the light of the summoning array completely dissipated, a burst of arrogant laughter came from inside. This voice is. Hearing the familiar taste in the laughter, Ziyan faintly knew who was in the light. Being able to summon this king, you really have to go, my best friend. The light dissipated, and a gear in golden armor appeared in front of Ziyan's eyes. It really is you, Hero Angier. Looking at the king of heroes in front of him, Ziyan couldn't help but like his idea of asking Leah to help him choose a summoning profession. Although Gilgamesh's nature, but the strength is indeed powerful beyond doubt. At the same time, Ziyan is also interested in what he can get from Gilgamesh. The king of heroes has too many treasures, and there are many powerful treasures among them. Ziyan is quite looking forward to getting a powerful treasure from it. It would be great if I could come to the deviation sword. Congratulations to the host, you have obtained the treasure, the king's treasure. Hearing the system's voice, Ziyan couldn't help being taken aback for a moment, and then burst out laughing. Oh, Gilgamesh looked at the laughing Ziyan with interest. It seems that you are very happy to be able to summon me, my friend. Ha ha ha. Of course, with the help of this king, whatever you want. To do what? It was all easy stuff. Ha 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 ha. Of course, I am very happy to be able to summon the legendary king of heroes. And, as he spoke, several golden ripples lit up behind Ziyan, and swords exuding golden light protruded from them. Also, being able to get your treasure makes me quite happy. Speaking of which, with the king's treasure, it will be much more convenient to store items in the future. Although the golden deer can be summoned to store items, it is more convenient to use their king's treasure to store them. It's an honor, my best friend, to be able to control this king's treasure. From now on, you will also become extremely powerful. Ha ha ha. Seeing Xian summoning his own treasure, Gilgamesh was not distressed, but felt happy that his best friend could use the king's treasure. Speaking of it, Gilgamesh, why do you call me your best friend? It's the RST time we've met. Xian looked at Gilgamesh puzzled. Even though it's the RST time we've met, I really like you. Gilgamesh folded his arms and looked at Xian with a smile. Since you make me feel very good, of course it's okay to let you be my best friend. That's it. Xian smiled. I am very honored to be the best friend of the King of Heroes. Afterwards, I will hold a banquet for the arrival of the two kings, the Night King and the Hero King. However, I have to summon a companion, so please wait a little longer. Oh, Gilgamesh turned to look at Leah. Is this little girl the King of Knights? Hey, I'm the only person in the world who can truly be called a king, and the others are just miscellaneous. Stop. Hearing that Gilgamesh was going to say that word to Leah, Xian felt like calling Gilgamesh to stop. Chill, we are all partners, so don't be so strict. And hybrids, please don't use this word on your companions. Since it's a request from a close friend, I'm naturally willing. Page 113. Hearing Xian's words, Gilgamesh nodded, but I still don't agree that this little girl is a king. I'm enough alone. Yes. Leah summoned the Sword of Promised Victory and Avalon. As a king, I don't need your judgment, and I don't allow you to insult me. Even if you didn't say that word, it's an insult. Now, come and see if the little girl in your eyes is a Quali-Ed king. Oh, interesting. Dozens of golden ripples lit up behind Gilgamesh. Since you, the false king, dared to challenge me, then I will try your strength. Don't worry, even if you are a false king, since you are my best friend's partner, I will not let you suffer too much injury. So, give me a big thank you, Dade. Knight. Stop. Seeing that Gilgamesh and Leah were going to GHT, Xian quickly ran between them to stop. Their GHT. Everyone is a companion. Don't be right. Do it yourself. Yan, please step aside. I must let this guy who underestimated me realize his mistake. Leah said seriously. Also, I must let him see my strength, so that this proud guy can recognize my status as king. She was right, my dear friend. Gilgamesh crossed his arms and said, if it's just a low-level person, I don't need to follow you. I will carefully select your partner. Hearing the words of King Arthur and King of Heroes, Xian covered his head. How did things turn out like this? Xian shook his head and sighed. Okay, if you want to compare, you can compare, but it's just for learning, and no real action is allowed. Otherwise, I will organize you. Trust me, my dear friend. Gilgamesh said. Leah also nodded at the same time. After seeing the agreement of both parties, Xian retreated some distance, leaving space for them. At the same time, a wall of thought power was deployed under the feet of the three of them in a wider range, hoping to give them a more convenient meeting space. Seeing Xian withdrawing from the middle position, Leah quickly rushed towards Gilgamesh. Seeing Leah rushing towards him, Gilgamesh raised the corner of his mouth and waved his hand forward, and the weapon in the golden light tripled immediately. Then he used to Leah, facing the Ying weapons. Leah showed excellent sword skills. Among the Ying treasures, the sword of the vowed victory wrapped in the Wind King's barrier quickly danced, and Gilgamesh's weapon was slashed behind by Leah. Interesting. Seeing Leah approaching, the corners of Gilgamesh's mouth turned higher, and he raised his head slightly. More golden light spread behind him, and then a powerful treasure grew out of it. Facing the wave of treasures, Leah slightly possessed herself, holding swords in front of her body. An invisible wind began to swirl around its blade. Wind King Hammer. Following Leah's voice, a violent gust of wind rushed towards the Ying noble phantasm. Boom. With a loud bang, the actuation of the Wind King's hammer subsided, and Gilgamesh's treasure was blown behind him. To be able to resist this kind of noble phantasm. Gilgamesh smiled. Now I'm really interested in your ability to GHT between kings. I will not release the full power of this sword to you. Leah shook her head. Although you are annoying. But after all, he is Yan's companion, and I also promised him that he would not be serious. Gilgamesh smiled, and the lines on his back slowly disappeared. Confess you for now, King Arthur. Since you promised me, I won't be too strict with you. It's an unpleasant statement. Page 114. Shaking his head, he also put away the sword in his hand. Okay, it's good to end like this. Xian smiled and walked to the side of the two. He was really worried that the two of them would GHT for real in the end, and now that they stopped in time, he was relieved. Now that you've all stopped, it's almost time for me to summon my next companion. Oh, Gilgamesh looked interested. Call out. Are you not satisfied with me, best friend? You even want to summon new companions? Forget it. The more partners you have, the stronger your power will be. I agree. You really have your style, Jill. Hearing Gilgamesh's haughty words, Xian smiled. Since that's the case, I'll start. Speaking of which, there is no assassin's companion in the team yet. If so, let's call their assassin's companion this time. After speaking, Ziyan communicated with the system in his heart, requesting the system to summon his assassin professional companions. And with the end of the summoning, a woman thought to be noble and beautiful appeared before Ziyan's eyes. Ding! Congratulations to the host, you have obtained the treasure, Vanity's Sky Garden. Servant, assassin, Semiramis, Empress of the Assyrian Empire. Alright, prepare the throne for me RST, and I'll tell you about the next thing when I'm ready. If you don't have it, there's nothing you can do. You can be the chair. Semiramis, who opened his eyes, looked at Ziyan and said calmly and arrogantly. Forehead. Ziyan, who was just happy that he was able to summon the third king and obtained a castle in the sky, couldn't help twitching the corners of his mouth when he heard Semiramis' words. His eyes could not help but drift to Gilgamesh, who was at the side. Here comes another rather haughty fellow, Ziyan thought in his heart. However, your master looks pretty good, so you don't have to be a chair. Semiramis looked at Ziyan with interest. If you talk to me well, it's not impossible to lend you my strength. Ha 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 ha. Gilgamesh laughed out loud after hearing what Semiramis said. I didn't expect to meet two people who called themselves kings without my permission within one day. Jill, you're not going to be again. Hearing Gilgamesh's words, Ziyan looked at him in shock. At the same time, I pray in my heart that it must not be what I think. If that is the case, as long as I summon the king in the future, Gilgamesh will GHT the king. Don't worry, my dear friend. Gilgamesh shook his head. I won't make it difficult for you, since I have already fought that King Arthur once. I don't intend to GHD the next king companion that may appear. For your sake, I will temporarily admit their status as king. However, this fellow, since I ask you, my best friend, to be her chair, this cannot be forgiven. After Nishing speaking, golden ripples lit up behind Gilgamesh again, and more than when he was facing Leah. Wait, Jill. Ziyan hurriedly stood in front of Gilgamesh. Didn't Semiramis not allow me to be a chair? So forget it this time. I also hope that everyone can go back early so that the banquet can be held. When you were getting Leah just now, I already informed Drake that they will have new companions coming through the phone bug, and asked them to prepare a banquet, so stop getting with your companions. Seeing Ziyan's appearance, Gilgamesh was silent, then waved his hand, and the golden ripples disappeared into the air. I will spare you this time, Empress of Assyria. Page 115. Gilgamesh looked at Semiramis slightly indifferently. I hope you can thank my best friend for his kindness. Oh, are you a king too? Semiramis looked at Gilgamesh and said indifferently, however, wearing a golden armor, do you think that you can increase your dignity by wearing gold? It's ridiculous, even if you are a king like me. But, presumably you are just an unknown king, with such an identity, you dare to attack their noble Assyrian emperors. Arrogance should be stopped in moderation. Ha 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 ha. Hearing Semiramis' words, Gilgamesh laughed wildly. The unknown king. No more honor than you. He ha 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 ha. Interesting, such an interesting joke. It made my abs hurt from laughing. He, Empress of Assyria, you should be honored to meet this king. Because I am the oldest king of mankind, the ruler of Uruk, Gilgamesh the hero king. How, after knowing my name, will you still feel that you are more honorable than me? King of heroes Gilgamesh. Semiramis read it lightly, and then turned to look at Arturia. Ziyan, you are really a lucky summoner. In addition to me, I actually summoned two kings in one breath. And they are all famous kings in history. King of heroes and king of knights. I have to say, Ziyan, your luck surprises me. However, even if you are the oldest king, you were only born some time earlier. Semiramis turned to Gilgamesh and said, I don't think you are more noble than me. What do you think, Your Excellency the Lucky Master? Semiramis turned to look at Ziyan and said, Forehead. Ziyan looked at Semiramis and Gilgamesh, who turned their heads to look at him, and their corners of his mouth twitched violently. How can I answer this question? Ziyan roared in his heart. Gilgamesh is the oldest king of men, and Semiramis is the oldest assassin. There is no doubt that the two are incomparably noble. What a cunning answer, Ziyan. Semiramis shook his head with a smile. However, for your sake, I don't want to discuss this issue anymore. Then, what are we going to do next, Ziyan? Seeing that the matter nearly calmed down, Ziyan heaved a sigh of relief. To be able to summon you three kings, I have to say that my luck is pretty good. Maybe, after getting along with you for a period of time, I can also have the air of a king. However, Semiramis, don't be in a hurry. After strengthening you and Jill, you are going to do the next thing. As he said that, Ziyan made the system strengthen Meishi and Semiramis in his brain. Along with the light shining on Gilgamesh and Miramis, two powerful auras began to burst out from them. Not bad, really good. This is the attitude this king should have. Gilgamesh looked at Ziyan. Thank you, my dear friend. This feeling really makes me so happy. I didn't expect that in addition to being able to be summoned by retaining the ability of a mage in the way of double summoning, I can also be summoned. Strengthen. Semiramis felt the magic power in his body, and said with a little joy, now, even if I don't collect materials and perform rituals, I can still summon. Vanity's Sky Garden. Yes. Okay, in this way, everyone will be strengthened. Ziyan said happily, in the future, I will rely more on your strength, Leah, Jilin Semiramis. Of course, my best friend, you can use my power as you like. Ha ha ha. Gilgamesh laughed wildly. Page 116. Since the contract has been established, I am the master's sword, so send me as much as you want. Yun. Leah looked serious. When I was summoned, I thought you were a good summoner, and now I am more sure of what I think. Semiramis walked up to Ziyun, stretched out his hand to touch Ziyun's face. Are you actually yearning for my ability? Ha ha. This feeling is pretty good. I really didn't expect that you could touch my heart so much. You are really brave and naive for not being afraid of poison and killing. But no matter what, I like you very much, and I will do my best to assist you in the future journey. From now on, you can boldly implement your plan. Thank you, Semiramis. Ziyun raised his hand and put it on the back of Semiramis' hand on his face. You say that, it makes me feel more content. Hee. Then, please let the three kings go with me to meet the other companions. They are still staying on an island. Presumably, they are ready to have a banquet to welcome their new companions. In this case, let's go back in my Vanity's Sky Garden. Semiramis looked at Ziyun and said, at the speed of my Sky Garden, it probably won't take much time to get back to where Ziyun and your other companions are. After finishing speaking, Semiramis turned his back to Ziyun, and began to summon Vanity's Sky Garden. 10 and 1's Black Coffin. Activate Vanity's Sky Garden. Accompanied by Semiramis' words, a huge courtyard in the sky appeared in the eyes of everyone. 11 huge jet black plates floated around the courtyard in the air, like guards leading their courtyard. On the courtyard, the neatly arranged buildings and lush green plants add a touch of beautiful scenery to the sky courtyard. Oh, Gilgamesh looked at the huge sky garden in a little surprise. This is really a good treasure. Even compared to my treasure, it is a relatively excellent existence. If such a fortress in the air is used in a war, it can be said that it will greatly determine their balance of victory. Archeria was also surprised to see the huge sky garden, and the magic power fluctuations revealed from it. Artoria would not think that this is just a vehicle that can only be used to carry people. The magic power contained in those 11 black plates must be able to release huge magic shells. Archeria couldn't help thinking. Then, welcome to my garden, everyone. Semiramis turned his head and looked proudly at Ziyun and the three of them. Now, please move to my courtyard. Semiramis, I have a proposal. Ziyun, who was following Semiramis, said, I want to build a spiritual transfer site on your sky garden. Do you think it's okay? Spirit transfer position. Semiramis looked puzzled. Seeing Semiramis' puzzled look, Ziyun explained the details of the linked size transfer to Semiramis and the three of them. Since this is the case, let me take you to a good location in the courtyard to establish this transfer position. After hearing Ziyun's explanation of linked size transfer, Semiramis showed interest, and quickly agreed to Ziyun's proposal. Afterwards, Semiramis brought Ziyun and others to a luxurious living room. This place, I think it can be used to establish this position. Semiramis turned to look at Ziyun behind him and asked. Ziyun nodded. Then, I'll start now. After Semiramis nodded in agreement, Ziyun connected the system in his mind to establish a transfer position at his location. Accompanied by the same light as the position established on the golden deer, linked size shifted position and appeared at Ziyun's feet. At the same moment, Artoria and the other three standing on the ground also felt the connection between the ground and them. In this way, I only have one bubble fruit in my hand now. After establishing the position, Ziyun couldn't help thinking. Then, since the position has been established, let's go back directly through the position. Ziyun looked at the three of Semiramis and said, after we pass by, the Sky Garden will automatically return to Semiramis' treasure space, so don't worry that the Sky Garden will stay here. After seeing the three of Leah nodding in agreement, Ziyun picked up the phone and told Drake to open the golden deer, so that he could wait for others to transfer. Page 117. Just after hanging up the phone, Ziyun's phone bug was dialed. Hey, long time no see, Marshall, it's me, Palouse Lino. The voice of Palouse Lino, who was sent by Ziyun to the Navy as an undercover agent, came from the phone bug. I know it's you. From the appearance of the phone bug, I know it's you. Hee, Ziyun said with a smile. I haven't seen you for so long. I really miss you. What? Did you call for something? That. Actually, I'm rushing towards you right now, Palouse Lino said. Ziyun frowned. I'm here to chase you. You guy was sent by the Navy to arrest me, right? You are really right, Marshall. Baloo on the other end of the phone bug nodded. It will take about a day and a half before we can reach where you are. Since the operation started, I nearly found an opportunity to call you. This time, The Navy and the world are moving pretty fast. I just hope to stop you when you are stranded on Duel Island. Even if we can't stop you on Duel Island, we plan to stop you somewhere nearby after you leave Duel Island." "Oh." Ziyan showed an interested expression. "Then who did the Navy and the world government send over this time?" "I think Gup, who fought with us, was also sent here." "That's what you guessed right, Marshal." Pelusilino nodded. "Besides me drinking carp, the former Admiral Zephyr was also sent here. In addition, quite a few lieutenant generals from the Navy headquarters were also sent over. The Ying squirrel that was injured by Shiromia was also among them. This is hoping to subdue us with someone who has experience against us." Ziyan shook his head. "However, relying on this few people is far from enough. The Navy will not be unaware of what we did on Duel Island. But there are 9 and 0 spies here. With their reports, the Navy should not think that this few people can defeat us." "That's true." "Speaking of which, when warring states said they would send a few of us to capture the Drake pirates, I still complained about the lack of manpower," Pelusilino said. "Now, knowing the performance of Miss Miyamoto Musashi and Spartacus on Duel Island, their Navy attaches great importance to Miss Miyamoto Musashi, a swordsman they didn't value much before. Even the Navy recognized Miss Miyamoto Musashi as the world's strongest female swordsman. Woolen cloth. Perhaps after the capture fails this time, Miss Miyamoto Musashi's reward list will include their world's strongest female swordsman name. In addition, although the newcomer Spartacus has not shown as strong as Miss Miyamoto, their Navy also attaches great importance to him. As for Captain Drake, who defeated the Golden Lion Shiji alone, made the Navy even more denied. In the past, the Navy still had doubts about Captain Drake's strength, and felt that she might not match the strength of the bounty. However, after this battle between Captain Drake and the Golden Lion, the Navy feels that the importance of Captain Drake must be increased. After the capture fails this time, the bounty on Drake's ship will definitely change. "Hi, you're pretty sure they're going to fail?" Ziyan smiled and said. "That's natural. The Navy and the world government don't know you and your comrades, Admiral, but I know enough," Pelusilino replied. "And the Navy naturally knows that it doesn't have enough manpower, but the world government has also sent many Zero senior agents, including 3 top-level agents. I have observed that their strength, even if it is me, don't want to win too easily. In short, it's monster level." "Admiral level 0 senior agent." Ziyan lowered his head and thought. "I heard Yor once said that he killed a very powerful senior agent on the island. Maybe he is a top agent of Zero." "It's really not easy for the world government to be able to send so many characters who can be compared to the Admiral in one go." Page 118. "2 of the 330 are strong in physical skills, and the other one is a devil fruit-capable user, but his ability has not been told to the Navy, so I don't know." Pelusilino continued. "By the way, the Navy and the world government are now spreading rumors that you are a lustful person, Marshal. It is said that they plan to let that 9 agent named Khalifa lure you out alone." Although both Zanko and he expressed doubts about this information, the world government is quite willing to give it a try. Pelusilino continued. "If we arrive at Duel Island, Marshal, you haven't left yet. And Khalifa successfully lured you out, and the world government intends to let 2 of its top 0 agents sneak into the island to kill or arrest you." Hee. The idea of the world government is quite interesting. After listening to Pelusilino's words, Ziyan showed an interested smile. "Since the world government is planning to send people in, I naturally have to let them carry out this plan well. Don't let their efforts go to waste." "Well, thank you for your notice, Pelusilino. See you on Duel Island when the time comes." "Okay, Marshal, it's time for me to appear in the A's of the Navy," Pelusilino answered. "Then, this call will end here, and see you then, Marshal." "Okay." After speaking, Ziyan hung up the phone. Looking at the 3 kings who were looking at him curiously, Ziyan smiled and said, "It's just that some enemies are planning to attack us, but with your power, I'm not worried. Since I am Yun's enemy, my sword will be in your command." Leah said seriously. "Don't worry, my best friend, with this king here, no matter how many enemies come, you don't have to worry." "Ha ha 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 ha." Gilgamesh laughed wildly. "When I meet the enemy, I will contribute my strength, my master." Semiramis also said with a smile on his face. "Thank you all." Ziyan nodded. "However, it will take some time for them to arrive at Duel Island, so let's go back and have a banquet now." Hee. After speaking, Ziyan activated the Spirit Sun to transfer the position. Soon, the 3 of Ziyan and Gilgamesh turned into a burst of light and disappeared in place. And Vanity's Sky Garden also quickly turned into starlight and disappeared in place. After Ziyan and the others disappeared, a bolt of lightning suddenly appeared at the location where the Sky Courtyard had just disappeared. Diane gradually condensed into a human form, and soon, there were 444 drums engraved with 3 hook jade on his back, and a person holding a golden stick showed his gear. "Well, just now my heart clearly felt that there was an island here. Why did it suddenly disappear?" The gear exuding thunder and lightning stayed in the air and muttered to himself in doubt. Forget it, since it's gone, let's go back RST. After speaking, the goo turned into lightning again and disappeared in place. In the castle of Duel Island, in the shell room of the Golden Deer, the originally silent Link's eye shifted to a strong light. In the light, Xian, Arturia and the others gradually appeared in front of Drake and the others guarding the shell room. Oh, is this the new companion? Looking at the three people behind him, Drake said with a smile. The new companions are not ordinary heroic spirits. Xian smiled, and looked at the respective identities of the two parties. Since there are three kings, our team is even more honorable now, Tsunade said with a smile. Speaking of which, Emiya Shiru, you should know this. King Arthur personally. Xian looked at Emiya Shiru and said, Arturia looked at Emiya Shiru suspiciously. Does this gentleman know me? Page 119. Yes, in my memory, I once fought with the King of Knights. It's really nostalgic. Emiya Shiru shook his head and said, however, it seems that you don't know me. However, this is not a problem. After all, there are so many parallel worlds. The King of Knights I once met was probably not you. That's right. Archery nodded, but no matter what, it's a kind of fate that we can help Xian now. Emiya Shiru nodded with a smile. Okay, everyone, the banquet has been prepared for a long time. Let's start now. Xian smiled, took Archeria and the others and followed Emiya Shiru towards the place where the banquet was held. This wine is really good. In the castle where the banquet was held, Drake took a sip of the wine Gilgamesh brought out and said, I've never drank wine like this before, and this time it's really a big pro-tea. Hee. Of course, my king's collections are all the most precious treasures. Gilgamesh shook the wine glass in his hand and said, whether it is weapons or new wine, they are all extremely precious treasures. Seeing that you are my best friends and partners, this is only shared with you. It's really delicious. Tsunade raised the wine glass in his hand and looked at Gilgamesh. King of Heroes, bring some more wine. It would be a pity not to drink enough of this new wine at once. Oh, good wine is not ... You drink like this. Gilgamesh took a sip of the wine in his glass. The more beautiful the wine, the more you should taste it carefully. And, even for me, there is a limit to the amount of good wine I can store. I don't plan to take out too much wine at one time. Speaking of which, I should have a beautiful bar like yours here. Xian looked at Gilgamesh and said. Xian closed his eyes, and immediately, golden ripples appeared from behind him, and several barrels of new wine poured out from it. Come on, Tsunade, there is still wine here, you can drink it to your heart's content. Thank you, Cloud. Tsunade with drunken eyes rushed to Xian's side, hugged Xian and kissed him hard. You are so kind to me. You really dote on them. Gilgamesh looked at Xian and shook his head. Haha, it's a banquet after all, Jill. Xian replied with a smile. Let's have fun today. After all, Tsunade and the others are too interested in wine. However, these wines are really good. Xian took a sip of his wine and said, even someone like me who doesn't like drinking very much is attracted by them. Should I say, it is indeed the collection of the King of Heroes? Hee. As long as you like it, my best friend. Gilgamesh raised his wine glass to Xian. As night fell, the banquet was still going on. Under the instigation of his companions, Xian was rarely drunk and lay down in the arms of Scheherazade who had been serving him all their time. The king is drunk, I'll take him back to his room. RST. Scheherazade put Xian's hand on his shoulder and greeted his companions. After that, he took Xian and walked towards the room. 295. In the middle of the night, Xian slowly opened his closed eyes. The sexy and beautiful Scheherazade beside him appeared in his eyes. Haven't you slept yet, Scheherazade? Xian looked at Scheherazade lying next to him, and couldn't help touching her face. No, I am not sleepy, my lord. Scheherazade shook his head, and there are not many opportunities to be alone with you, so I want to see you more. Page 120. Xian smiled, and buried his head in Scheherazade's chest to make himself more comfortable. Shanruzad, I haven't heard you finish your story, can you continue to tell me? Of course, my king. Scheherazade gently stretched out a hand to hug Xian's head. However, my story is very long, and it is not easy to finish listening to it. I don't want to finish your story, Scheherazade. Xian gently shook his head on Scheherazade's chest. I hope I can always hear the stories you tell in the future. My lord, even if I have finished telling the story of the 1001 Nights, as long as I stay by your side, I can continue to create stories. Scheherazade nodded lightly. So far, no king has cherished me as much as you, so I don't want you to drive you away. Also, I became more afraid of death, because death means the king and I will have to part. Well, hearing Scheherazade's words, Xian blocked what she wanted to say next with his mouth. Don't worry, Scheherazade, I won't let you die. So please don't be surrounded by fear of death, okay? Xian rested his head on Scheherazade's forehead and said softly. Feeling the temperature of his forehead, Scheherazade replied softly. Then, Wang, what kind of story do you want to hear this time? Is it happy or sad? Now tell me a happy story, Scheherazade. Xian said with a smile. At this time, I just want to hear happy stories. Yes, my king, Scheherazade replied. Just right. I also want to share a joyful story with you at this moment. As the night continued, in Ziyan's room, moving stories were constantly narrated by Scheherazade, and the story continues to draw in the distance between Ziyan and Scheherazade. The morning sun shines on the earth, and the people of Jewel Island start their daily life. Although it is every day, it is different from usual, because now this island has been hung with the egg of Blue Star, and no longer belongs to their previous administrators, so people at this time do not dare to GHT and make noise like usual. After all, a lot of those who did not follow the orders of the Drake pirates were cleaned up yesterday, and those who have been cleaned up have absolutely no ability to resist. Did you sleep well last night? Semis looked at Ziyan and Scheherazade, who walked out of the room together, and said with a smile, "It seems that you and your concubine had a good night." "Good morning, Semiramis." Ziyan waved his hand towards Semiramis. "How do you feel about our team?" "Very well, they are some very distinctive and powerful people." Semiramis smiled. "Since it is Ziyan's companion, I will also give it some respect. They will not be poisoned." "Oh, I've never worried about that." Ziyan shook his head. "I can trust you, Semiramis." "Ziyan, you are really a person who can talk." Semiramis walked into Ziyan and said, "Also, I have something to tell you. I hope you can agree." "What's your business?" Ziyan looked at Semiramis suspiciously. "I heard from you last night that you plan to go around the city alone today, so that you can be seduced by that Agent 9 named Khalifa." Semiramis said. "However, I want to go with you. Don't worry, no matter what, I was summoned by you as an assassin, and I still keep the breath blocking skill well." If you like this audiobook, subscribe the channel for more videos like this. And join my Patreon if you want to support me, where you can find advanced audiobooks that hasn't been uploaded on YouTube till now. Leave some comment and let me know if you guys like this story, or you have a web novel you like and want to hear its audiobook. I will be happy to create them for you. Please like, share, and leave a comment on the video.